I, 28 male, broke up with my ex-fiancé, 27 female, of 4 years 2 weeks ago after catching her in a huge lie and then finding out 3 days ago that she committed suicide because I wouldn't take her back. I am in need of some serious advice as I'm being blamed for everything. Hey guys, I need some serious advice as I'm pretty much being cornered by basically everyone and I really don't know what else to do as my mental state is declining and I'm left wondering if it's really all my fault. A little background, me and my ex-fiancé had been together for almost 6 years and engaged for 4 out of those 6 years. I was introduced to her by a close friend at a party and we just clicked. She was attractive, had a great personality, and had similar hobbies as me which made it perfect. Back in April of this year I started noticing little changes in her. She started wearing more revealing clothes to work, started putting more makeup and etc. To be honest, I had no problem with any of that stuff as it's her body, she can wear whatever and put however much makeup she wanted to. But what made things worse for me was when she started coming home late from work, or how instead of spending the weekend off with me, we both had weekends off from work, she instead was always going out. I once had asked her why she never invited me to come out with her, to which she replied that it's only girls' night out and that her other friends would not be happy if I tagged along as they were not bringing their own BF with them. It all came crashing down when me and her had a huge fight in June because she decided that instead of going out on a date with me, she told me how she already had made plans with her friends and that it was rude of her to cancel. That was it for me. I blew up at her and we had huge fight which resulted in her packing her bags and leaving. I didn't hear from her for almost a week, none of her friends knew where she was and heck none of her folks even knew what was going on until she finally contacted me and wanted to talk. Imagine my surprise when she confessed to me that there was another guy involved and how all this time she was hanging out with him when all this time she was lying to me about hanging with her friends. I blew up, I wanted nothing to do with her and was going to break up with her until she got on her knees and begged me to give her a second chance, which my dumb self did, but only after she revealed everything to me, and she did. It made me sick to my stomach, but in the end, I forgave her and told her to delete all contact with the other guy and that I expect her to have no contact with him going forward, which she promised, and things kinda went back to before. Heck, we were even spending more time together, but that feeling, that trust wasn't there anymore. Everything was kinda okay until 2 weeks ago a friend of mine who was visiting another city which was 3 hours from where I lived sent me a picture with the message "Sorry bro," that broke my already broken heart into a billion of little pieces. The picture was of my ex-fiancé at a mall 3 hours away from where we lived holding hands with some stranger who I didn't know. I broke down, I was heartbroken. She was a bitch, a piece of s, especially since I thought she was at work, while in reality she was 3 hours away holding hands with her lover. When I got home from work, I waited for her and right away confronted her, which she denied and called me a psycho for not believing her and that I was a piece of s for not trusting her until I showed her the picture that my friend sent me. Her face told me everything, and when the waterworks started, I knew that I had made a huge mistake in taking her back, so I ended it. She cried and begged me to think it over and not to throw away everything that we have together, which made me angry, and I'm not going to lie, but I slapped her. I was not proud, I'm still not, but she saying like not to throw away everything when it was her who threw away everything pissed me off. I told her to pack her and leave, called her parents and mine, and told them everything. Her parents came to help her, and I told them to basically F off after they told me to think it over and to make the right decision before actually ending it. She begged me not to end things, but I did, had to for my own peace of mind. I did not hear from her or her parents until 3 days ago when my parents called me to let know that ex-fiancé had committed suicide. Her parents found her hanging and she had left a letter apologizing to everyone including my parents and me and how she is sorry from the bottom of her heart for what she did to me and that how she can't live without me and because of that she ended it. I am at a loss, ex-fiancé friends and family are blaming me and my own mother told me that it was my fault. She told me that I should have forgiven her since I'm clearly worth committing suicide over. I am disgusted. I have currently taken some time off from work and have not a single clue what to do. Fiancé left me due to my cancer diagnosis. I left her destitute. This has been 4 years ago, so the sting is gone and my revenge has been had. Sorry if this isn't the right forum. We dated for 4 years and had what I thought was a great relationship. We were both well-established professionals who both owned homes in the same neighborhood and both with daughters in the home. Her daughter was 11 and mine was 16 when we met. We had actually planned to get married, build a house, and raise the two together. We planned the house build because she had recently been diagnosed with a neurological disease that would eventually put her in a wheelchair and need something ADA-friendly. During the planning stages, I began doing landscape and construction projects on her home to increase the resale value. All in, I invested roughly $30,000 United States dollars into the home, running everything through my side construction business for tax, permitting, and resale purposes. We had a contract that payment would be made upon the sale of the home. I produced invoices for each and every project, but never pushed for payment because of the prior agreement. Fast forward 6 months, we're looking at property to develop and finalizing drawings on the home when I began feeling ill. I couldn't eat, constantly vomiting and passing blood. I began noticing that my abdomen looked swollen, which was odd because we were both very clean eaters and were in the gym every day. So, I went to the doctor and began having tests done. During this time, she began having small cognitive issues and the stress of her current position was exacerbating her condition, so she took a $20,000 per annum cut in pay along with a lesser position inside the company. After a month or so of different tests and a biopsy, it came back that I had a golf ball-sized tumor in my stomach and would need to begin chemotherapy. So, I began chemo and radiation treatments, which made me, expectedly so, extremely ill. She was spending time helping around my place on the weekends and staying over more, to the point that they were both at my home, more than theirs. At this point, I suggested that we go ahead and put one of our houses on the market and move in together until the new house was built. I have great supplemental insurance as well as a long-term illness plan, so using that coupled with the sale of one of our houses would push us through comfortably and help ease the financial stress on her. Shortly after this discussion, she became extremely distant. Her daughter wasn't coming down and hanging out with mine anymore, she had excuses for not getting together. She quit driving me to treatments and stopped staying over. She then dropped a bomb. A sentence that will forever be burned into my psyche. I love you, but I can't see myself taking care of someone this sick in the long term, and I don't think we should see each other any longer. In a text. It broke me. I won't lie. This was the first woman I had ever opened up to and planned a life with since my wife died when my children were 1 and 3. However, I tried to be mature about it. I forced myself to understand her position and to accept what I could not change. I calmly, the next day, gathered all of her things, packed them neatly, loaded them in my truck, and took them to her house to leave on the back porch while she was at work in order to avoid any awkward exchanges. Walking around the back and under the porch cover, I sat down a box and saw her in her back living room, on the couch, having sex with a man that she had introduced to me as a lifelong friend. I had dinner and drinks with this man and his girlfriend. We had gone on vacation with them, as well. I never spoke of the incident with her and simply sent her a text later, explaining that I would leave her things on my side porch to pick up at her convenience. I discovered 8 or 9 months later from his now ex-girlfriend that they had broken up due to him confessing that he had been sleeping with my SO, dating back to about the time we were finishing drawings on the new home. Now I'm pissed. Revenge time. At this point, I had finished chemo and radiation for the time being and was feeling healthier. I was going through some much neglected paperwork when I ran across the file that contained $32,680 in unpaid long overdue invoices, which were promptly sent to my attorney to begin lien proceedings on the home. It turns out that I couldn't have done this a moment too soon because she was set to put her house on the market. Coupled with interest over the course of what was then 19 months overdue, the invoices were hefty. That, along with the agreement of settling them when the house was sold and attorney fees, left her with roughly $10,000 after the sale of the home and settling her current mortgage. She promptly had to back out of the purchase of another home and moved in with her oldest daughter, Sil, and 2 grandchildren. She also had to leave her job and begin receiving disability. I ran into her a little over a year ago and she looked as if she had aged 20 years and was in the wheelchair we had talked about. We chatted cordially but briefly, and I excused myself and went on with my day. A few days later, her younger daughter called me and spoke of my running into her mom and could we hang out sometime. I gave a vague answer, thanked her for calling and again, went on with my day. The ex then called me a week or so later and began apologizing for leaving me as she did. Again, cordial but short, I thanked her for calling and hung up. She began texting, and this went on for several weeks until once she asked if I could ever see us rekindling what we had, to which I replied, I can't see myself taking care of someone so sick in the long term. Remember the box on your back porch? Did you think that lifelong friend brought that over to you from my house? Good luck to you. Goodbye. TL.Dr. Girlfriend broke up with me due to me having cancer, so I ruined the sale of her home, the purchase of another, and left her to have to move in with her daughter. Then threw her breakup line back at her. I sometimes feel guilt over this, but not much and not often.